Andrew Mack here with MMA Island and Trial by Combat. Today I'm joined by Cage Titan's marketing director, Nick Heiler. Nick, how you doing?
I'm going prosperous, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course. So how did you get involved in Cage Titans? What was your first show, working or as a fan?
So I got involved in Cage Titans through Lozone MMA and my brother Peter. So after college, he had left college wrestling and he wanted to take an MMA fight. I had just started the social media company and I wanted to get into MMA space. So we both kind of had a mutual thing. It's like, hey, Joe Lozon has got Lozon MMA down in Easton. Let's try to I'll train there. You'll do the social media there. And it's like, yeah, we went in there. And that's where I kind of got introduced to the local scene. And the first fighter I worked with was actually Randy Costa. I took his Tuesday kickboxing classes, and shout out to Randy. I still use all of your techniques to this day. It just, if you like to land head kicks, take a class or a personal with Randy Costa. Absolutely worth it. But aside from that, yeah, I went to the first show. Was actually not in the hall. It was at Pins in Kingston. It was Randy's pro debut, and I had been to MMA shows before. I've been to other regionals, but this one, it's like, okay, it's in a bowling alley. I had no idea what to really expect, but the energy in the room was amazing. And one thing that I felt immediately when I came into it is like this feels different. This feels like I'm home almost. Like everywhere you go, and if you're a martial arts fan or a combat sports fan, you absolutely feel this. When people find you're really into martial arts or combat sports, they think you're weird. They think you're like weird, and it's nice to be around people that get it, that all train, that all love the sport, and are really into what's going on. And that was just an infectious feeling. And it was so weird because it was also the show that Giannetti. We did like a ceremony for him to send him off to the finalists for the Ultimate Fighter. Jay Parent just got the title and was making the title fight with Kin Moy that was going to build up to the next one, and he rocked the mic, and it was like he had the crowd so hot, and I'd never seen anything like that in an MMA show. And probably the coolest moment was I ran into Don Shanis, who I hadn't seen in college. We started in an MMA club at college together, and the first thing I see him, it's like, Don, is that you? And it's like, yeah, dude, I'm going to be taking a fight here at Cage Titan soon and making my run back to the UFC. And I was like, I'm so glad I'm here for this. And since then, I was like, okay, I like this. I like these people. I like this show. The next show, my brother made his amateur debut, and it was in the hall. And that's when everything clicked. I saw the venue. I saw the place packed out. I saw the entrances. And, it was just something like I had never seen because I come out of the music industry. I've played pretty much any type of venue you can think of. I've worked in every major stadium and sporting venue in New England area. Plymouth Memorial Hall and Cage Titans is by far and away the best product you're going to see live. I mean, I wish that was hyperbole. You think that's me being the marketing guy? I put it up against a Bruins game, a Patriots game, anything, man. When you step in there and you feel that energy, it's something completely different than you'll experience in any other thing. And it's so visceral, it's so real. And of course, I have my own connection to it. I saw my brother fight that night, and it was literally like us, like seeing our dreams from the backyard kind of come true, and we knew that those type of moments were happening all the time. And from there I was just like, okay, I want to be a part of this. But from there I was working at Lausanne MMA. Then I started working for UFC five pass organizations, doing boxing, doing mixed martial arts. I worked a little bit on the Jake Paul Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. card. I'm sorry about that, guys. I feel partially responsible for Jake Paul sometimes. My first week, and then I actually, what's weird, I got hired to then work at Malka for Morning Combat with Luke Thomas and Brian Campbell, which is still my favorite combat sports show to this day. I was at the beginning stages of that, and got to work on some content there, and at the tail end of Below the Belt with Brendan Schaub. So I had like all this experience, but nearing the end of COVID, people forget Cage Titans wasn't around. And once COVID hit, Cage Titans had not posted. There was no news. There was no anything. So we didn't know if it was actually ever going to come back. And then Mike, the rumor got out that he was going to try to run a no fan show at Pins. And I just, I had stopped at Malka, was kind of in the middle of stuff. And I was like, I threw my name out there. It's like, hey, I'd love to help in any way I can. And then it just led to me. It's like, okay, we'll talk about how we can do social media, how we're going to cover this because there's going to be no fans. And then by some sort of just things aligned, things opened back up. The first show we were able to run back was fans. We did the fastest sellout ever. We've been selling out every show ever consistently. And Mike trusted me with the social media vision that I had because I had gotten all this experience from doing all this stuff and working around Cage Titans in combat sports for so long that now we had a brand that could do pretty much anything. And I knew that once people saw what was happening in the hall through social media, it was just going to blow up. And so far, it's been pretty insane when you look at all the numbers. Like in the last year, we've done over 24 million views across all platforms. The virality of certain moments that we've created in those last 2 years from coming back from Cage Titans. I mean, it's been pretty ridiculous to actually kind of take a step back and look back on it all.
So that's what, 2-3 years of Cage Titans you've been with?
Yep, 2 years. Right when we came back from pandemic, so around 2021. And yeah.
So I know you're martial arts as well. I've seen clips of you training, I think, at Hard Knocks.
Trained at Hard Knocks. Currently, my new gym is at Muscle and Flow, which is where I'm at right now. We have the Fight Club downstairs under Bruno Rodriguez from Argentina, a very good instructor. But yeah, martial arts would be very loose, I would say. I always make the joke like I'm a 10-year white belt because and when people ask me, oh, what's your martial arts experience? It's like, okay, I started Muay Thai when I was 18. And if you put all my training time together, I maybe have 2 years of full training, but it doesn't seem like that much. It was inconsistency, but I've just always been in the gym shooting, been around the sport, been covering promotions and working around it that I picked up a lot of the information, a lot of the stuff. And, the biggest thing is now I've actually, after our March 18th show, I got super sick. I got COVID. Because it was a day-night doubleheader, and if you know my position on the cage, I'm right in the splash for blood and sweat and spit zone. So I actually, after a doubleheader card, I went to the hotel room and I just fell asleep. For anybody, if you go to a show like that with a lot of people, shower before you go to bed. Please, I swear to God, your health will thank you the next day. It didn't do it for me. I got really, really sick. And then I just decided I'm going to get back in shape, and now I'm up to like 3 to 4 times training boxing and Muay Thai a week. Just as much as I can, just because also I think it helps the work. Everybody at Cage Titans trains to a certain extent. Everybody has martial arts experience or competition experience. Right now, I'm one of the few people in there who doesn't actually have a sanctioned fight under their belt. So I almost feel jealous about that sometimes.
Would you ever consider fighting?
Perfect circumstances. So first of all, the guy could not be taller than me. He can't be better looking than me. He can't have a wrestling background. He can't have above blue belt in jiu-jitsu. He can't really hit that hard. I don't really want him having that much power. If they can meet all of those qualifications, I absolutely, I will sign to take that fight right now. But the problem is that the level of Cage Titans and the level of the competition level is so high, you don't want to mess around and just think that you can do it. And also, I'm so into the marketing side, I could never, unless I know that all the social media and the marketing stuff could be done while I was doing the fight, I wouldn't be able to focus on the fight because I'd be wondering, it's like, are the posts getting out? Are everything getting out? What do the stream numbers look like? Hey, is everything doing? It's like, dude, you're about to go get into a fist fight. Why are you worried about that? It's like, because, dude, it's every other fighter on the card. It's not just about me. I can't, what it would be really, it would mean really nothing to me if, say, a great moment happened on the card and nobody got the video clip of it out. It'd be like, oh, fuck, I should have got that, but I'm too caught up doing this. That's not fair to the guy who, it's like, who's going to try to make this his career. That's why I kind of don't like, those kind of gimmick fights. Unless you have somebody that can take your job and everything runs smoothly without you, yeah, don't take a spot from a guy on the card that really is putting everything into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. So, of course, I want to fight. But at the same time, I want to leave my chair open in the media room. So I'm trying to get one of my other journalists to come in when I have my fight. So I know how you feel.
No, yeah. And, dude, awesome. And we really want to see you fight. But also, yeah, we would miss you in the media room because, all the clips from the side and also the questions for media day, I imagine, it's like, oh, did he send in any questions? Are you serious right now? He's cutting weight and he's about to go into his first amateur kickboxing fight in front of 2,000 people. No, he didn't send in any questions.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
so, over these past 2 years, how has it How has it been working for Cage Titans?
It's been awesome. The biggest thing is that I think most people that need to understand is that Cage Titans is definitely it's a passion project. It's not all of our careers that we want it to be, but we're all just regular people who are fight fans that really wanted to try to create something that was better for fighters and better for fans. And I think that's why people connect to our product so much more when you watch us on the podcast, when you watch us through our social media and how we talk about our fighters, how we cover our event. You can tell that we're not doing this for a paycheck. We really do love this. And I love the fact that working with Mike Pulver has, been a real blessing in my life. He's just one of the best dudes I've ever met. But also I think the secret sauce of what he does is that he comes from a marketing background. He is a fighter. He also comes from the hospitality background. So when you're talking about the experience of going to Cage Titans, how it feels when you walk in as a media member and we have the craft table set up in the back and we're checking on, it's like, hey, you guys have waters, you guys have anything that you need, or you guys set up with wires. When people are walking in through the back, it's like the little things that you don't think about because it's a night out for most people. And we want to make people feel accommodated, have a good night out. And I think Mike has really instilled a lot of those cool things in the show. And we try to kind of carry that over into our social media where it's like, hey, let's give people fun stuff all day. So if they give us a follow, we're going to give you something great every day. And it's not just going to be, hey, come buy tickets here at Fighter A, Fighter B. We're going to try to tell stories. We're going to give you fun clips. We're going to make you laugh, make you cry, whatever we got to do.
So you guys got Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and now Threads. How do you manage so many different social medias at once?
Everything is just very cross-platform at this point. Everything is moved towards a portrait trending sound, hashtag trending sort of style. It's hard for me to even differentiate what I have to do differently for each platform because all of them generally require the same thing. I would say the only thing that changes is the mechanism for communication of what you're looking for. Do I want people to like this post so I can garner a huge following so I can get the most virality as I can? Or do I want something to be a clear call to action that makes, people buy tickets and streams? There's just different context for everything that you do. But I think what guides Cage Titans' philosophy is what's better for fighters, what's better for fans. It's not necessarily what's just going to be best for the brand or what's best for the bottom line, is what is going to make the experience better for the fighters and the fans. Because at the end of the day, we understand the risk that is involved for these athletes and also the financial risk that some of these people take because, a night out's a night out. And right now we're fully aware that, when people spend with their dollars, you want to give people their money's worth. So we want to make sure anybody that takes the time, makes the plans, spends their money, gets a great experience. So I'd say that if that was the question, I don't know if I just spun off, but I think that's sort of the core of what we're trying to get to.
So what would you say really sets you apart from other social media managers? One thing I've noticed is you're just so fast to post clips. Before the fight even comes into the media room, I check Instagram and the finish is there, spikes are there, all that kind of stuff.
Wow. Yeah, so definitely I always describe it as we're not knockout artists. We're not looking for just going to something awesome post. I've been in some promotions something awesome just happened, post that. It's well, dude, awesome stuff's been happening all night and we haven't posted it. We missed walkouts, we missed other results, we missed other finishes. Why aren't we covering just everything? So our whole thing is we're not looking for the big knockout viral moment. We're looking for a volume attack would be the best way to look at it. So we look at it from what can't you see on the broadcast and what's going to be a different perspective. And in terms of speed, the Cage Titans pace is so fast, and that's what fans in the live show and also the stream appreciate because there's no breaks in between for commercials or anything. It's fight, 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 fight. For me, I'm losing my mind because I just have to send things out as quickly as possible. And I'm doing it all manually through my phone, through the app. And but the thing is, right now, I'm not going to give too much of our game plan away. We're implementing some new things into this show that is going to create, I think, a social media experience that's really only on par with the UFC, Bellator, and One Championship. And the fact that we're going to be able to do it on the scale of Cage Titans with the talent and the plan that we put in place. I encourage everybody, just tune into the show, not just the stream, but tune into, just follow Cage Titans and watch the show all the way up. You will have fun with this card because we have made sure that the point of this card is let's have as much fun as we can. Let's make this a really fun summer card and then ride the momentum we've been riding. This is probably going to track into be our best year. 2022 was the best year in Cage Titans record. This year is projecting even bigger. So, yeah, we just got to keep reminding ourselves to have fun even through the really hard times, which there have been some.
Just a couple more things before we talk about this Cage Titan 60.
Yeah.
So what's something that the fans don't see that you think is important? So they see a lot of things. They see everything that happens during the event. They see all the social media. What's something behind the scenes that they don't see that you think is important?
How you treat somebody after things don't go the way you expected. Uh, that's the biggest thing. How for a camera guy, I've been in the moments and I've been in the corner. I remember early in my career, I felt lucky because like I was just always in the corner of the winning guy. Like our team couldn't lose or my guys couldn't lose. Then I became in the promotional side, and now I'm responsible for covering each part individually. And then I just legitimately through the research, watching film, finding clips, and researching and talking with these guys, I become fans of every fighter on the card. So when they get to the cage that night, I'm like, it's one of those scenarios when you're watching. It's like I wish neither of these guys had to lose because I'm a fan of both of them. And what you do when things don't go their way or things go bad. Guys breaking down in the hall. That's when you consciously, hey, get the camera off him. That's not something that the guy over there who just had a win. Let's go focus on that guy's moment. Let him be with his team, anything like that. But also, on a personal level, cameras away. Mike will go check on him. Andy will go check him. People from our team will go check on him. We'll make sure that his family can go check on him. That's like the real family aspect of this stuff because we see and have gone through some pretty brutal stuff in Cage Titans. It's easy to be like, oh man, everything's going great, everything's awesome. The reality is that somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose, and we got to make sure that that the winner feels like they just had the best night of their life. But if you lost, that you're in the back and be like, hey man, I know it didn't go your way, but would you do it all again? Did you enjoy yourself? Would you give it another shot? And if they said, oh hell yeah, I felt good, thank you for treating me well, thanks for taking care of me, I would absolutely compete for you again. That is the biggest sign of approval that we could get. When the fighters approve and when the fighters' families and their fans approve of us, that's what we do it for.
So today's Saturday before a fight week. So what will fight week look like for you usually? So let's talk first Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What are you doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
We have the podcast on Monday, which everybody should tune in at 8 p.m. We've been off for the longest time we've ever been off. We're going to have the picks from everything. I think we didn't even review the last card that we had, so we're going to be talking all sorts of stuff. We're going to have guests coming on the show from the fight night. We're going to have media people jumping on. It's going to be a really fun show. Tuesday, Wednesday, I go work my real jobs, like the jobs that are paying my bills, and that's being a photographer, a videographer, a creative director, and, just trying to secure everything. We're going to possibly have a press conference on Thursday and then weigh-ins Fridays. And to get ahead of you, it's really, it's all about fight day. And I don't want to give up too much of our game plan, to be totally honest, because I feel like I've given you some really good stuff. And if any competition is still listening right now, no, just watch the show, enjoy, have fun. Best of luck to you. We're going to give it our best. We know you're giving it your best too. But yeah, I can just say operationally, we're going to have more talent on our team than we've ever had. We were adding to a great roster of talent we've already had with Jacob as our head photographer on the cage. We have Iggy running the media room backstage. We have Raph and Eddie doing our videography. We have some new team members we're going to announce on the social media side. There's Joe Leonard, our head producer, who's doing things. Andy, who people just see him as our ring announcer and is like our lead commentator, but his vision for Cage Titans is so apparent on everything in terms of the scale, the showmanship, that sort of side of things. It's such a cool team to be a part of right now, and we're literally all here because we just love Cage Titans. We love the show, and we genuinely love being around each other because, with Arthur's passing happening in between these two cards, we really realized how much we value each other, how much we care about each other. How much we're glad that we're there for each other when we really, really need it, not just about fighting. And I think all the fighters that, especially the ones that I saw there for his memorial service with his family, which, was a tremendous honor for them to ask us to do that in the hall and make that a part of it because Arthur was such a big part of what Cage Titans meant and what we wanted to promote our fighters to be. It makes you appreciate where we are. It really does. It really does. And I'm very thankful to be a part of this. Just a small part that people find somewhat interesting because I think there's so many more interesting people than me on our team. Facts.
So I remember seeing a video of Mike saying that they were talking about maybe canceling this card because of Arthur's passing, but they realized that's not what he will want. He will want it to go on. The
Oh,
show always
100%.
goes on in his honor. And talk about that a bit.
Yeah, Arthur would have sent it. Arthur would have. Arthur never pulled out of anything, man. He never backed down from any fighter. He never backed down from any matchup. He would have said, "It's like, wait, you serious? Keep going, man." And that's and that's the big thing. It's like I was very late. Like there's been passing in Cage Titan when you're talking about Harry Jones, who was the first original Cage Titans announcer. I didn't know him very well. I've been around him, but he had passed during COVID from COVID, and that loomed heavy when we came back from COVID. The passing of Devin Carrier, that happened just before I came into Lowe's on MMA and before I came into Cage Titans, and his presence still looms very, very heavy on a lot of guys today. You realize how small this community is, and that's why, like, if I could take this moment in time, just to say, it's like I see a lot of like in MMA social media space, people taking ridiculous shots at each other, talking wild stuff and doing all this stuff. Keep in mind, this is a super small community. If you're really in it, if you're talking like that, you're not really in this community. They know better to show respect to people, to engage with people on a respectful level, and understand that this is a small community and that we got each other. We're all in this for the right reasons. The fight stuff is fight stuff. If the entertainment stuff is entertainment stuff. But yeah, I see somebody over there, and I have a gigantic window where I have people from the city just walking by and watching me stream right now. But yeah, like I would just definitely say that.
So talking about this Cage Titan 60 card, what's your favorite fight that you're looking forward to here?
Uh, there's so many good ones. This card's going to be a lot of fun. But I'd be lying if there wasn't Ozzy Brody. Ozzy
Oh,
Brody,
yeah,
like
absolutely.
actually, I feel like I made that fight weirdly. But I think that fight naturally happened. But I remember I was backstage at the show that Ozzy premiered on. It was the March 18th doubleheader card. Brody was supposed to fight on that card for the title against Daniel Keepers. He ended up breaking his wrist and not having being able to compete. So Ozzy stepped in on 2 weeks' notice. Kid sold 100 tickets. We knew about him from Combat Zone. And I knew coming in, it's like this kid is a monster. But let's see what's going to happen. This is a crazy matchup. Keepers is a tough, tough guy, and he's going to come straight at him. So when that happened, I was backstage sitting next to Brody because I've known Brody for a little bit through No Stows, and I was like, "Hey, you know what, dude? Depending on how things going, I'd love to see you fight that Aussie kid." And Brody was like, he's sitting right next to you, right?" I was like, "Oh shit!" And then Ozzy was like, took off his headphones. Like, "What's up?" I was like, "Oh, hey, yo, dude, you guys should like totally fight sometime." And they like looked at each other. It's like, "Hey, yeah, what's going on, buddy? Nice to meet you." "Oh, yeah, yeah, man, I'm stepping in for you today." "Oh, it's a good fight, good fight." "Hey, yeah, we'll see how it goes, see how it goes." And then it just went off. And I come to see him later, and it's like Ozzy's in the crowd. It's like, "Did we make the fight?" It's like, "We made the fight." It's like, "Let's go." And they're in the cage, and I got to drop the news, but. I'm just excited to see that because at this point in time, like these are the two most talented, most exciting young welterweights that we can put in there. It's what amateur MMA should be about: the best fighting the best. And regardless of the outcome on Saturday, these guys have so much upside and so much career ahead of them that we're gonna look back on, like, be like, "Wow, those guys fought in amateurs." I can't wait to go watch that on YouTube when they're both like in the UFC Contender Series type guys because you can just you can see it in both of their styles. And this is what's also fun about making sure you tune into the prelims, you watch the amateurs, and we treat the amateurs in the same way we treated the pros in terms of promotion. These guys have a lot to offer in terms of entertainment.
So we also see the return of two UFC veterans, Don Shanis and Jay Perrin, who they kind of got some bad luck, rough time in the UFC. So what's it like having them back in Cage Titans?
Oh man, it's always great to have guys like that because first of all, they chose to come back to Cage Titans. There are guys with their credentials and their skill level. They could go anywhere in the world and fight, but they come home to Plymouth, and I think that's awesome. It's an honor to be able to do business with guys like that and to help promote and work with guys like that because they're professionals. They're true professionals. They're going to show up on weight. That they're going to sell tickets. That they're going to be on point with their branding and their marketing, and they're going to be professionals about everything and also put on the show on fight night, which, any promotion in the world would be lucky to have those two guys and to have any of the fighters that we have on our card. Martin Davis, Pat Gilbride, Robert Lustig, I can keep going on and on. And there's so much other talent on this card that we're just starting to get to know that are first timers at Cage Titans and amateurs that are just kind of getting their feet under them. You know, it's just like somebody always surprises you when it's almost like when people say it's like, oh, I don't know, like a lot of the guys on the card. It's like, trust me, man. Once the fight happens, you'll see why this is a fun matchup. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, dude, every fight on this card is fun. And with Jay going up against Bugs, I think it's two technicians, two real veterans of the sport that are going to put on an absolute masterclass in there. They're both going to be fighting at 145, so they're not going to be draining themselves. It's just going to be all about who's going to be the better fighter that night. The weight's not going to be necessarily a factor into that. And it lines up to September to a 135 title shot with Joe Penafeal, which would be awesome. And Don Shanis, as he says, he wants to get this fight in. Then he wants to get back to title hunting and belt collecting until he gets to a big promotion, which I'm all for. Don has earned the right to do whatever he wants at this point, because Don is going to do whatever he wants at this point. That's just always who he's been, and I'm really excited for this matchup in particular because I think they're just both so scrappy. I think they're both going to give us I think they're gonna pop the hall. Like what I mean is like people are gonna just be like, whoa, like it's a roller coaster the whole fight until just something happens and the fight ends. But it's gonna be fun to watch.
So what? Sorry, what are some of your favorite moments in Cage Titans history that you've experienced?
I would definitely say my brother winning, although that was a bit of a tough one just because he fought Pat Crowley. If you can go back and watch that fight on YouTube, he won Comeback of the Year, which is the award you know, you're happy to win, but also be like, that means you took a pretty bad beating before you got that win.
Yep.
But I'd also say Dan Walsh versus Jake Caskey, Cage Titans 48, when we came back from COVID. Dan Walsh, I watched him growing up in the Lausanne MMA gym since he was about 16 years old. He was a kid to me. So, you know, when Dan was walking out there for the first time as a fighter, it's almost like kind of watching, like, you know, your little brother. You still see him as that kid. And you're like, oh, crap, man, he's going in there. And you see Jake Caskey, and he's a gnarly-looking guy. They're both making their debut, and they just went out there, had a barn burner of a fight. Dan pulled out the win. The hall was just exploding, and it was just such a catharsis of like, oh, my God, we're back. Because we didn't even know if, like, Cage Titans was ever going to be a thing again. We didn't know if any of these moments were ever going to happen again. And that one fight, basically, like when people say it's like, what's Cage Titans all about? I tell them to go watch two fights from that night. It was Dan Walsh versus Jake Caskey and Billy Goff versus Sean Lally. That is why Cage Titans is great. Those two fights right there, if you really want to know.
All right, so I asked them, asked for fan questions on Instagram, so I got 5 right here.
Fans?
Huh?
Who's a fan? Oh, they're your fans.
No, it's the fighters from Cage Titans mainly.
Oh, God damn it.
So from David Burke, I have, who's your favorite athlete to capture on film?
Everybody brings their own thing, but I always think Joe Penafeal is like the most automatic guy. Like if I had to say like who could be an actor, who could be a pro wrestler, who could go in and immediately do well, be Joe Penafeal. But also Don Shanis. Don Shanis is one of those guys who knows where the camera is and how to use it and like how to have fun with it, how to make gimmicks and how to involve fans. And one more, Andrew Valdina. Andrew Valdina is just, again, he just knows how to work crowds really well. It's almost like he's performing before he ever fights, and he has that kind of thing about him and everything. But if you're talking about pure virality, Shane Wellman always goes viral. Killer Cam Arnold cannot stop going viral. Joe Poirier cannot stop going viral. David Burke, you can't stop going viral. So there's all sorts of different guys. I just love to, like I said, I've become a fan of everybody, as you can't tell.
Speaking of Andrew Valadina, he asked, pizza, tacos, or cheeseburgers?
Pizza. Pizza, most definitely. I could definitely eat pizza for the rest of my life and not worry about it. With tacos running a pretty hard second, and burgers, yeah, I'm a burger guy, but like, you can eat them all the time.
What toppings on your pizza?
I like cheese, like extra cheese, well done pizza. I'm not like crazy about like overdoing the pizza. If you want to put meat on it, I'm all good with it. But you know what? It just cheese, well done. It's good. Just give me the whole pie.
From Phil Losigno, not a question, but just want to let him know he's a real MVP. Praying hands.
Thanks, dude. He's Phil's also one of my favorite guys to film too. He's one of those guys that like as soon as like he's what you call a scroll stopper in the industry. As soon as like you see him on your feed or your For You page, you're like, well, wait a minute, who is this guy? Like he just has that about him, and like it's weird that we keep bringing these type of guys to Cage Titans. People think I'm doing it. It's like, dude, I feel like I'm just standing there. Like these guys are doing it.
From Charlie Quinn Media, when is Nick coming to
Staten Island.
Staten Island? Yes, thank you.
It's the only borough I have not hung out in a stairwell and blast music in at 4 a.m. So I must have that happen. I'm thinking sometime in the fall. Why not? I'd love to go out to. There's a show, Flex Fight Series, that runs out of New York.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of them. They came to one of our shows, and I was actually happy because like they took the best aspects of what Cage Titan does and they transferred over to their model. They didn't copy from us. They learned from us, and they really did a lot of cool stuff with it. And we can vice versa. We've learned a lot from them. And it's one of those shows that like I feel is like one of our Cage Titans cousins. Flex Fight Series. Check them out. And Charlie Quinn, I'll see you in Plymouth.
And from Mike Murphy, who's one of my friends, how do you maintain that hair?
I don't. My wife does. I'm terrible with it. Like I boxed this morning, so I had my boxing braids in. I looked like Folk Malone. Like I looked like Post Malone's brother. Like that looked. He was doing like slightly better than him, but not like that much better. Anyway, yeah, it's the biggest thing I can honestly say is learn if you have long hair and you want this, learn how to like isolate this. When you see girls doing this to getting the knots out and those split ends at the end, like that's the difference maker really. That is the difference maker between having good hair. Also for dudes, I'll say this: if you have long hair, trim the sides down right here, because that'll keep you from having like a super emo look. If you have this. Like you see, I don't have the Pidgeotto like Andrew Valdino or like mullet, but I have this little inlet cut right here. If you like watch like pro wrestling, they all have that, and rock stars, they all have this. That's the secret to long hair right there.
All right, a couple more questions.
Sure.
So regardless of who goes into the hall, whether it be Cage Titans staff, fans, fighters, media, what do you want everyone exiting the hall thinking or feeling?
Wow, I'm having a blast right now. I feel at home. I've been looking forward to this. I want people to feel like they're at home. Like I said earlier on, when you're in the martial arts and you're in mixed martial arts, people say it's like, I watch the UFC on the weekend, and people find out how into it you are. They think you're weird. Or when you start talking about boxing around them or karate combat or Muay Thai on one championship on Friday nights, people think you're a little weird. You're a little nerdy to it. Cage Titans, I want you to feel like you're at home. And also for the people that aren't fight fans, you know, say you're like a parent or a family member that's coming in to see it, I hope you come in and you feel like instantly proud of the person that's going to step into that cage that night, because you can realize like, wow, this is not a small deal. This is a big deal. He's worked hard for this, or she's worked hard for this. I'm so happy that they're here, and I'm so happy this looks professional. It looks cool. I'm excited for them, as opposed to where I've been to other shows and they've walked in and you've walked, you're like, I'm scared for my friend fighting here. I'm definitely scared for my friend fighting here. I never want anybody to feel that way coming into Cage Titans. I want them to feel at home.
And Cage Titans, every single event just goes higher and higher with the production quality, with just everything.
Thank you.
Where do you expect Cage Titans to be at? Cage Titans 100.
Cage Titans 100. My ultimate vision, and we talked about this a little bit of time, when we can sell out the hall 3 times in the day, we would do a show at NGM Fenway, which was kind of like, if you've ever been to that venue in Boston, It's attached to Fenway Park. It's built exactly like Plymouth Memorial Hall, except for it's a 5,000-seater. The key thing about understanding that is a 5,000-seater is what the UFC was doing at the Palms and Mandalay Bay, very early on stuff, and like, you know, that's not a small ask of anybody. So you would have to load that car with the most amazing, you know, sort of local talent and a big amateur undercard to make it happen. But, you know, I think overall what I would like to see is that Cage Titans get to 12 events a year, but not just numbered MMA hall events. I would like to see just 6 pillar Memorial Hall events, and in between have grappling tournaments and start crowning like who are the best grapplers in New England. We want to start having combat nights that are specialized around Muay Thai and building out those divisions more and more. We want to start introducing more youth divisions, because we know that there's sanctioning for kids to start doing, you know, Muay Thai with padding, and there's also still youth jiu-jitsu tournaments. The biggest goal of Cage Titans, I think, at Cage Titans 100, or what we'll be doing, is that we will be like the hometown program of martial arts for New England and helping, guide the community to be able to be bigger, involve more people. And because every time martial arts, when martial arts has made my life better, mixed martial arts has made so many lives better, we want to involve as many people as we can. And that's what I think Cage Titans will be. It'll be like, we'll be in the middle of Boston, Fenway Park in the background, 5,000 screaming fans, and be like, it's like, we're here right now because like of every martial arts gym in New England right now is representing right now. The best in New England are going to be fighting on this card. The best in New England's past are going to be fighting on this card. And this is a celebration for what we've done here in New England. And we just appreciate anybody who's going to be with us from 60 to 100, which would be like what? Like, I don't know the math, like 2,000 something.
I don't know. Summer right now. My math brain's turned off.
All right. I'm totally cool with that. But yeah, that's where I hope we're going to be. I hope that Cage Titans 100 card is going to be absolutely bananas in MGM Fenway. That's what I want.
When you said sell the hall 3 times, I thought you meant that they were going to do a triple header. I was about to pray to every single god out there.
No, dude, no. Even the double header, we're thinking about, it's like, hey, back-to-back nights sound easier? It's like back-to-back nights, or just move another card in next month. I don't give a crap. We can't do that again. We can't do that again. I was one of those people that was like, oh, it'll be fine. And then afterwards, like, no, you can't.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you'd like to say?
Thank you for bringing me on and doing this. I have tremendous respect for you for what you do in the media space. You are absolutely made this scene a lot better since you stepped into it. And also thanks for giving me rides home when I needed it.
Of course.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate your time and love what you're doing with your new media space. I just want to see more video clips out of you, my dude. If I could challenge you to do one thing, like clip up this podcast.
Okay, I'll work on that.
All right, good stuff, buddy.
All right, thank you for your time, Nick.
All right, thank you.